So you figured out that you're addicted to sugar or food. Now what do you do about it? Does anybody really care? Unfortunately, no. Most people do not care that you're an addict. Most of society sees people like us as undisciplined, lazy slobs who just need to put the cookie down and all our problems will be solved. Fortunately, your fellow sugar and food addicts know that this is a very real thing. The good news is there are ways to get past it. Let's talk about it.
What's up, sugar junkies? Day 68 of sugar sobriety, almost up to 70 days, 10 weeks. Follow me on my journey, man. I want you guys to see if I can get back to being this guy. Do you think I can do it? Subscribe, like, comment, hit that bell, and hang on for the ride. I think we're going to get there. But I digress. Today, we're talking about sugar addiction and how the people around you and the people in your life and society in general just do not care about sugar addiction and will not respect the fact that you're a sugar or a food addict. When people talk about alcoholism or drug addiction, even things more modern, things like video game addiction, computer addiction, internet addiction, those seem to have more credence than something like a food addiction or sugar addiction. But if you are a sugar addict or a food addict, you know that this is a very, very real thing. Number two, there's always been this stigma with overweight people and people who are addicted to food that this is a lifestyle choice for us. Now, I could tell you, it is not a lifestyle choice for me to go to the grocery store at 9 o'clock at night, load up on carb heavy and sugar heavy junk, come home. Yeah, by the way, and when I buy that junk at the grocery store, I lie about it and say, yeah, we're having a party tomorrow because I'm so embarrassed that I'm putting it in my gullet. Come home with it, binge on it, not eat all of it, feel disgusting, throw the rest in the garbage so I don't binge on the leftovers later, and then go back into the garbage a half an hour later. Shamefully, embarrassingly. It's like the worst thing that I can do. It's horrible. And then I go back and pick through the garbage, and if it's okay, I'll eat it. If it hasn't touched any other garbage or if it hasn't gotten gross. Like, how disgusting is that? So you want to say that's not an addiction? I don't know what you would call it. This is not a lifestyle choice. You and I know that if we could just choose a lifestyle, this is not the lifestyle that we would choose to lead. Nobody wants to be overweight, feel uncomfortable, risk their health, stay in and not go out and socialize with friends and family because you're embarrassed or you have body dysmorphia or body issues. There's a million reasons. This is a horrible lifestyle. It's not something we're happy about. The only joy that I get out of this, or you might get out of this, are those initial minute or two where we're forcing that food down our throat and we get that sugar rush. That's it. As soon as it hits your stomach, before it hits your stomach, you know that those feelings of guilt rush in. And it's very, very uncomfortable, depressing, not fun at all. So to the people who say this is a lifestyle choice, I say you have no idea what you're talking about. Third, unlike other addictions, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever else, you don't wear that on your body. Nobody knows that you're an alcoholic or a drug addict unless they actually see your vices in action, which, let's face it, these people can hide things from friends and family, and a lot of friends and family might not even know. There's functional alcoholics, there's functional drug addicts. When it comes to food and sugar addiction, I'm sorry, but everyone is going to know that you have some kind of problem. They're going to call it a self-control issue. You know it's an addiction. For example, I'm a dentist. Generally, I was fit. I have bouts where I go a long time without binging, and then I collapse and I go on a spiral. And I have a bad year. I had a bad couple of years. I walk into my operatory, patients don't see me for 6 months. So suddenly, the guy who they saw who was fit has gained 50 pounds. I walk into that room, they don't have to say anything. Those patients' eyes, they look at me, and their eyes go like this. That is worse than getting a comment. I would rather they tell me, wow, you got fat, which by the way does happen. People will say that. If you see enough people every day, you do get people who just can't bite their tongue and they'll be like, fat guy. My favorite was a patient who said, oh, looks like someone's been raiding the fridge on the regular. And he thought that would be like, make me feel good or make me laugh, like we're all in on the joke. I have thick skin, I can take it, and to be honest with you, I would rather hear something like that than these. But people can't help it. They react, they're looking at you and they're shocked. But they look up and down, and like when I walk into the office, I'm like, oh yeah. And I get that all the time. It's not fun. Like it really chips away at you after a while. So we cannot hide this. So we have to live with it, and everyone's gonna know when I'm a bad boy, I can't hide it. I'm gonna walk around with my addiction on my body, and everyone's gonna know that I've been a bad boy. And that's that. And everyone is gonna silently judge me. They can't help it. It's human nature and it's reflex. It sucks though. Number 4, picking on overweight people is one of the last acceptable forms of discrimination. Think about it. You know, we've come a long way as far as discrimination goes, but when it comes to weight, people will still be like, wow, look how fat that person got. People don't care, you know, and sometimes, often they'll say it to your face. Like I said, I've had patients who just cannot help themselves. And I think they think they might be being friendly or funny or helpful, but it's like, it's just an acceptable thing. It's okay to bag on fat people. Like, you know, because I think they're saying this was a choice. This was your choice. And as we talked about earlier, it's not a choice. And it's not okay for people to bag on fat people and overweight people, but it is what it is. This is the society that we live in. So this does not make things easier. People just do not care. Number 5, for someone who is not addicted to sugar or food, there is no way they can just not grasp the idea that you're addicted to sugar and food, or that that's a thing. They just cannot wrap their heads around it. It takes work, even with the people that you love. The thing that makes it even more difficult is that our culture and our social gatherings are all built around food. Dinners, holidays, all this stuff. We just had Easter, and I know that a lot of people had difficulty trying not to binge on chocolate. Of course, because the whole holiday is built around chocolate, unfortunately. I mean, I know it's a religious holiday, but let's face it, that chocolate is everywhere. It gets to the point where it's rude to refuse food, and people make you feel bad for not eating. So when you finally realize you have an addiction and you're working to not eat that stuff, it's difficult. I will tell you, my mom, whoo!
Oh, hello, sweetheart. I made you some brownies. Oh, you're not eating sugar? You're addicted to sugar? Well, I made these just for you. Well, it's okay. No, it's all right then. You don't have to eat one, but if you don't, you probably don't love your mother.
The things I do for this channel. Ugh. It took me like 10 years to convince my mom that I was addicted to sugar. My mom loves to bake, and she would make pies and cookies and cakes and make me feel so bad for not eating it. And then it's like, they do this, they throw this one at you. You know, can't you just have one small piece? I'm like, no. That's like offering an alcoholic a beer. The key is to get the people in your house on board, the people closest to you. If you can do that, it will make your life easier because they're not going to be trying to make you feel guilty. They're just going to be on your side. The other thing is you have your fellow sugar addicts and your fellow sugar junkies. And we are here for you. And you will find the people who are going through the same things as you, and other weight loss YouTubers are very, very supportive. Many of us have experienced a lot of what I've talked about today. Have you experienced any of these things? People giving you the eye, people saying stuff that you can't believe they said? Let me know in the comments below. So what can you do about this? The first thing I would recommend is prepare yourself to get ready to quit sugar for 3 weeks. How can you do this? What's the easiest way? In my opinion, I've laid it out really nicely for people in one of my more recent videos. I'm going to put the card up there for you. That is how you quit sugar for 3 weeks, or how you set yourself up in the best way to do it. It's hard, it's difficult, but you can do it. But get the people in your house on board and don't worry about the rest. You can't change society. You can change the people around you and affect the people around you. Speaking of which, I've been asked by a couple people to set up a Zoom support meeting or support group I'm actually going to set up a Discord, because then you can leave messages. I can text you back when I'm around. I'm very busy. I'm off and on, but usually after 9, I'm easier to get a hold of. I'll put that in the description below, and feel free to give it a go. I'm happy to help and talk to anyone who needs it. I want to be there for people. It's so much easier when you have a little bit of support and people who understand what you're doing. If you have any other questions, either hit me up on the Discord or email me. All that stuff is in the description below. It is so much easier when you have a support group or people around you who understand what you're going through. And believe me, I've gone through a lot, and I know there's other people who've gone through many of the same things you have. You're not alone. None of us are alone in this. If you think you've done something crazy that no one else has done, I guarantee that's not the case. We've all done really crazy stuff. Your addiction will make you do stupid things, but that's life. We'll share those stories. You got to laugh about them. Anyways, I will see you guys in probably 2 more days for my weigh-in. 10 weeks, I think the results are going to be amazing. And I hope you're on board with me for that. Until next time, guys, life is so much sweeter without sugar.